Margaret and Nduta, still in Vietnam as deportation plans. Continue. Margaret and Nduta, the Kenyan woman who was facing execution in Vietnam for drug trafficking, remains in the country as final deportation plans are being worked out. Although her life has been spared due to diplomatic intervention, she has not yet been cleared to leave Vietnam. Nduta's case has drawn significant attention, both in Kenya and internationally, as her ordeal highlights the dangers many unsuspecting individuals face when caught up in international drug networks. Her family and supporters are eagerly awaiting her return, but the legal process is taking longer than expected. Former President Uhuru Kenyatta played a crucial role in securing her release from death row, using his diplomatic connections to negotiate a deal with Vietnamese authorities. While the agreement saved her life, her return to Kenya is still pending due to bureaucratic procedures. Sources within Kenya's Ministry of Foreign Affairs have confirmed that discussions with Vietnamese officials are ongoing to finalize the necessary travel and legal documentation for her deportation. The complexity of her case has contributed to the delays. Vietnamese authorities have strict immigration and legal procedures, especially when it comes to cases involving serious criminal offenses. Nduta's release from death row does not mean immediate freedom. She must go through legal formalities before being allowed to leave. Meanwhile, her family in Kenya remains anxious, waiting for official confirmation of her return date. Her mother, who has been at the forefront of the campaign to save her, expressed concern over the delay, but remains hopeful that her daughter will be back soon. Nduta is currently being held in a detention facility in Vietnam as she awaits deportation. Legal experts say such delays are common in cases involving foreigners convicted of serious crimes. Kenyan officials have reassured the public that they are doing everything possible to ensure Nduta's safe and swift return. However, they have not provided a clear timeline for when she will board a flight back home. Activists who fought for Nduta's release are urging the government to speed up her return, arguing that she has already suffered enough. Many are calling for more proactive measures to assist other Kenyans detained abroad. The case has sparked broader discussions about the role of the Kenyan government in protecting its citizens facing legal troubles overseas. Critics argue that Kenya lacks a strong diplomatic response system for such cases. Nduta's story has also reignited concerns about human trafficking and drug smuggling networks that exploit young Kenyans by luring them with promises of lucrative jobs abroad. Investigations into her case suggest that she may have been an unsuspecting victim of an organized crime syndicate operating between Africa and Asia. Similar cases have been reported in recent years, with many Kenyan women finding themselves trapped in foreign jails. While Vietnam's decision to spare Nduta's life has been welcomed, experts warn that hundreds of other African nationals remain on death row in Asian countries, highlighting the need for stronger diplomatic engagement. Diplomatic sources indicate that Kenya and Vietnam have agreed to enhance cooperation on tackling drug trafficking and human smuggling, which could be one of the conditions attached to Nduta's release. Back in Kenya, discussions are ongoing on how to prevent similar cases in the future. Lawmakers have suggested tougher regulations on recruitment agencies that facilitate travel for job seekers to foreign countries. Several human rights organizations have launched awareness campaigns to educate young Kenyans about the risks of falling prey to international crime syndicates. Nduta's return is expected to be highly emotional, with her family, supporters, and activists planning a grand welcome upon her arrival at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Despite the celebrations surrounding her life being spared, Nduta will still face scrutiny upon her return. Kenyan authorities will likely investigate how she became involved in the situation and whether she had any knowledge of the drugs she was caught with. Legal experts argue that Nduta, like many others before her, may have been tricked into transporting illegal substances without fully understanding the consequences. Her case has also raised concerns over Kenya's growing problem of job scams, where desperate job seekers are unknowingly recruited into illegal activities abroad. Activists are now pushing for a government-backed fund to provide legal support for Kenyans arrested abroad, arguing that many cannot afford quality legal representation in foreign countries. Vietnamese authorities have not provided an exact date for her deportation, but sources indicate that it could happen within the coming weeks if all paperwork is completed on time. Kenyan embassy officials in Vietnam are closely monitoring the process, ensuring that all necessary diplomatic procedures are followed to facilitate her return. Despite the delay, Nduta remains hopeful that she will be back in Kenya soon. Reports suggest that she has been in contact with her family and has expressed gratitude for the support she has received. Her survival is being viewed as a major victory for diplomacy, but it also exposes the vulnerabilities that many young Kenyans face when traveling abroad for work. The government is being urged to strengthen pre-departure training and screening for Kenyans seeking jobs overseas to prevent them from becoming victims of trafficking. Public reaction to Nduta's case has been mixed, with some Kenyans celebrating her survival, while others argue that individuals must be more cautious when traveling abroad. Some critics believe that more should be done to dismantle the networks that recruit unsuspecting Kenyans into drug trafficking and other criminal activities. The international community has also weighed in, with human rights organizations calling for Vietnam to reconsider its harsh drug laws, particularly for cases where the accused may have been coerced. Vietnam, however, maintains that its strict drug policies are necessary to combat international smuggling and protect its borders from the illegal drug trade. Nduta's ordeal has shed light on the struggles faced by many African migrants in foreign countries, particularly those caught up in legal systems that are unfamiliar and unforgiving. Her case is now being used as an example by advocacy groups pushing for fairer legal treatment of foreigners in countries with strict anti-drug laws. Kenyan lawmakers have suggested the formation of a task force to investigate the extent of Kenyan involvement in international drug trafficking and to propose solutions to prevent further cases. Meanwhile, former President Uhuru Kenyatta's role in securing her release continues to be widely praised. Many are calling for the government to recognize his efforts in diplomatic negotiations. Political analysts argue that Kenyatta's involvement in the case may strengthen his legacy as a leader who fought for the protection of Kenyan citizens abroad. As the wait for her return continues, Nduta's case remains a stark reminder of the need for stronger diplomatic efforts to protect Kenyan nationals in distress. The Kenyan public is following the case closely, with many calling for greater transparency from the government on how similar cases are being handled. Activists argue that Nduta's case should not be treated as an isolated incident, but rather as part of a larger issue that requires immediate government action. Nduta's return will likely reignite debates about how Kenya can strengthen its international relations to ensure citizens receive fair treatment in foreign courts. Her experience has also raised questions about how the Kenyan government can prevent its citizens from becoming easy targets for international criminal networks. As she waits for her deportation, Nduta is reportedly receiving assistance from Kenyan embassy officials, who are ensuring that her rights are respected throughout the process. Some experts have suggested that Kenya should consider signing prisoner exchange agreements with countries that impose harsh penalties on foreign offenders. This would allow Kenyan citizens convicted abroad to serve their sentences at home under more humane conditions, rather than facing execution or life imprisonment. For now, the focus remains on Nduta's safe return. Her case has become a symbol of both the risks faced by young Kenyans abroad and the power of diplomatic intervention in life and death situations. The government has assured the public that efforts to bring her back are ongoing, and while delays remain, there is confidence that she will soon reunite with her family. Margaret Nduta's journey is far from over, but her survival is a testament to the importance of advocacy, diplomacy, and the relentless efforts of those who fought for her freedom